What's up, everyone? It's your boy Marcus here, back at it again with another video. Today I want to discuss a Malcolm X clip here that I'm about to show you guys, where Malcolm X discusses white liberals and how they are, as the famous quote goes, wolves in sheepskin. So to give you some context of the video, Malcolm X was a major critic of white liberals, and he said that essentially they are worse in many ways than conservatives. Both do not want to integrate the races truly, but the difference is that white liberals will pretend to be the friend of black Americans simply to gain political power. Now, they're not actually going to integrate with black people. They're just going to talk a good game, befriend them to gain their vote, and use them as a political tool. Now, the question is, do I agree with this or not? I will let you guys know after we watch the clip.
In this crooked game of power politics here in America, the Negro, namely the race problem, integration, civil rights issue, are all nothing but tools used by the whites who call themselves liberals against another group of whites who call themselves conservatives, either to get into power or to retain power. Among whites here in America, the political teams are no longer divided into Democrats and Republicans. The whites who are now struggling for control of the American political throne are divided into liberal and conservative camps. The white liberals from both parties cross party lines to work together toward the same goal, and white conservatives from both parties do likewise. The white liberal differs from the white conservative only in one way. The liberal is more deceitful, more hypocritical than the conservative. Both want power, but the white liberal is the one who has perfected the art of posing as the Negro's friend and benefactor. And by winning the friendship and support of the Negro, the white liberal is able to use the Negro as a pawn or a weapon in this political football game that is constantly raging between the white liberals and the white conservatives. The American Negro is nothing but a political football, and the white liberals control this ball through tricks or tokenism, false promises of integration and civil rights.
There's no other way to put this, but I 100% agree with Malcolm X. What he was saying in the 60s rang true, and what he said rings true today in 2019. White liberals use the race problem, integration, and civil rights issue as election campaign talking points to win in this political football game over white conservatives. When it comes to actually practicing the values that they preach, they're nowhere to be found. So the map you're looking at right now is the cities of Ann Arbor and Ypsilanti. The city of Ann Arbor is an incredibly liberal city. I am from Ypsilanti, a working class, smaller town, has a much lower median income, has a much higher crime rate, things of this nature. I love the city, that's where I'm from, but Ann Arbor, simply when you look at statistics, is much better off. The education, public education in Ann Arbor is rated much higher than in Ypsilanti. The median income is much higher. The percent of individuals living in Ann Arbor who are college educated is actually the highest in the country. The city is financially much better off. And it's actually a joke in Southeast Michigan, in this region, how liberal Ann Arbor is. But also at the same time, how hypocritical these white liberals are, where they preach constantly about not being racist, not being sexist, not being homophobic. And they use these issues, right? The race problem, integration, civil rights. They constantly talk about them. But when it comes to practicing what they preach, they are nowhere to be found. MLive, a Michigan-based publication, reports here, quote, "The Ann Arbor metro area is the 8th most segregated in the country," unquote. Oh my goodness. You gotta be kidding me. In this map, you are looking at colored areas, and the gray is These are the percent of renters in these areas who receive a housing choice voucher, which is a federal subsidy created more than 4 decades ago to help the poor gain entry into better, safer neighborhoods. So if you receive a housing voucher, you are living Section 8. Now, this is the whole point of this program, is let's say you're from West Willow, which you see in the bottom right hand of that map. That's almost like 80% housing voucher recipients. The schools in West Willow are not good. There's a lot of crime, and if you are raising 3 kids, it could be easy for them to fall into the life of criminality and violence and not doing well in school. So the whole point is that Ann Arbor, a very expensive town, you can receive one of these housing vouchers and live in an apartment complex in Ann Arbor where you couldn't afford to live without this voucher, right? But your kids will go to Ann Arbor's very top-rated public schools. They will live in a safe community. They will live in a community that is very positive and encourages collegiate education. And the hope is that your children will be able to learn a trade, go to school, and you won't have to have the voucher program anymore. The whole point is to integrate, to have people with housing vouchers live amongst people who don't have housing vouchers, right? Because if you don't have that, you have problems such as in West Willow, where literally 80% of the people have housing vouchers, and there's no integration in this neighborhood. So why are not as many housing vouchers accepted in Ann Arbor? So this is the problem, right? MLive reports here, quote, "The private housing market dictates where Section 8 housing vouchers are accepted. Washtenaw County largely pushes these folks into already low-income neighborhoods, some of which are riddled with violence and drug activity," unquote. So of course, those in Ann Arbor, especially those in power positions who would claim to be liberals, they will talk about the race problem, as Malcolm X said, integration, civil rights, all day. They will talk about them all day, but when it comes to actual policy that will increase the amount of individuals under a housing voucher who live in Ann Arbor, they won't say a peep. And now why do you think that is? So MLive also reports in this graphic on the screen, the average annual income about 15 grand a year. Almost half of them are single mother households. 73% of them are black. And this comes to the crux of the argument why Ann Arbor is willing to do nothing. And further proof that Malcolm X was 100% right about liberals. Because in a conservative town, in Texas or in these places, they will say we don't want Section 8 housing because, it's all about pull yourself up by your bootstraps. We don't want people who suck off the tit of the government. That's what they'll say. They'll be more real about it. Obviously it's very racist what they're saying. We don't want poor black people in our city, but at least they say that and don't hide behind their fake support of integration, civil rights, and the ending of the race problem. So this article discusses why Ann Arbor policy is failing at integration. MLive reports here, quote, "By law, landlords are not required to accept housing vouchers. Ann Arbor's and Ypsilanti's non-discrimination ordinances include source of income, so landlords cannot deny prospective tenants solely because they have a housing voucher. However, apartment complexes can set minimum credit score for tenants or charge high application fees or security deposits, which are not covered by housing vouchers. Ann Arbor's housing market lets landlords set rent higher than the voucher payment limit, so there's little incentive for them to accept vouchers and reduce profits." So as you can see, when it comes to real policy, the city does nothing to integrate, nothing to diversify the city, nothing to help the poor in the region. It's all about saying that you are not racist. But when someone with a housing voucher is consistently denied from living in Ann Arbor and wanting their children to have a better education, the city turns its head and says, go live in West Willow and Ypsilanti, where you will get a housing voucher there for sure, but your kids are not going to have as good an education. There is a lot of crime in the area. There are a lot of bad influences on your children. So these white liberals use black people as a tool, simply as Malcolm X said they do. There are clear steps to integrate Ann Arbor, and this is by preventing discrimination against voucher recipients, stopping credit checks when you are applying for an apartment in a complex. There are many ways in which a city can increase the amount of affordable and public housing in an area and allow for more integration to happen, more people to move in to Ann Arbor and enjoy the incredible services that the city offers. And I'm not saying they have to do this, but if you're going to constantly preach about how much better you are than everybody else in the country because you don't have a single racist bone in your body, but then at the same time you push all low-income housing into an area 15 minutes outside of your city, you're a total fucking hypocrite. There's no other way to put it. Alright everybody, that's gonna about do it for today's video. Let me know if you think Malcolm X was right or wrong in the comment section below. Make sure to hit that like button, share this video if you liked it, and hit that subscriber button if you're new. Alright everybody, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next